a monster.
I'm your number one fan.
Now clear your minds. Knows what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
It's been informed that zombies have entered the building. They're at the door. They're coming in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Midnight Monster Corner podcast. I'm your host, as always, Corey, and alongside me is my good pal, Tony. What's going on, brother?
Not much, bud. How you been?
I've been good. And alongside us, as always, well, recently, Mr.
As
Josh
always
Adams.
lately.
As always lately. There we go. That's the best way to put it. Mr. Josh Adams.
Yeah. How's everybody?
Welcome back. We appreciate having you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Always fun.
So we had to have you on because we already did like the first 3 episodes of the Henenlotter films. And then of course this one had to have you back for this one to finish it up, you know?
Yep.
And on top of
I'm glad.
And on top of it, you said that you hadn't even seen it before, so
Man, it was a ride. It was a journey.
Definitely is, man.
And it's we'll get into it.
Yeah, sure.
So, folks, we are covering Brain Damage from 1988. And just a full disclaimer before we ruin anything, it is on Tubi. And I believe that we talked about the Arrow versions on Tubi as well. So you can go there, check it out, and then head back to us because we will ruin this because this is one. I took a lot of notes. I don't know if you guys did, but I took like 2 or 3 pages of notes.
I did not take a single note this time. All I did was, because I've never seen it before, I just wanted to sit back and just let it wash over me.
Which is completely understandable for a first time watch.
Man, what an experience.
So
It was almost tough writing notes because I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything small because I wanted to point out even the little small details in this movie. So I would really quickly like write down and just look back up. Like I was doing that constantly, man, just to make sure I didn't miss any small detail.
I paused it so many times to write because I would notice one little thing that I've never noticed before, and I'm like, oh fuck, that's cool.
Gotta write that down. Don't forget.
So Josh, first thoughts on this film.
Well, as far because I'd seen Frankenhooker, I had seen Basket Case. Going into this one, I was expecting more of the same, but I gotta say I was impressed. Now, by no means am I saying that this is like Oscar-worthy filmmaking, but like I feel like he stepped it up in this one. Like the cinematography is better, the effects are honestly better. Everything the lighting is great. It's a more colorful movie. It just the soundtrack is better. I really love there's a song that's performed in one scene I'm sure we'll get to, but like it's a group called the Swimming Pool Cues, and it's such a good song, dude. The singer looks kind of like Sling Blade or whatever it is. But like, dude, the music's better. Like everything about this movie, like you can tell that he took all of his weird fetishes like brains and like posters of anatomy that have scripts like notes all over them, things going into other people's bodies and coming out of other people's bodies. Like all of his eccentric fetishes are turned up to 11 in this, dude. And like there were moments in Basket Case and Frankenhooker, of course, that were funny. Dude, this movie, he is fully committed to being hilarious. So, like, in every possible way, I loved this movie more than his other movies that I've seen. I don't know if it was just because I came into it completely cold and wasn't prepared for how wild it was going to be, and it just shocked me into that mindset. But, like, this movie is absolutely crazy. Like, I thought his other movies were crazy, but this movie's crazy. And I loved every minute of it. Nothing doesn't land perfectly. It's it's a perfect B movie. It might be the perfect B movie.
That's why I was so hesitant to even say anything about it, because I didn't want to spoil not one detail, because I wanted, being your first time watching, I wanted to make sure you went in completely blind, so that it would almost just be like an experience. You wouldn't have to write anything down. You'd just be like, just totally amazed by what was going on screen.
It's so wild. And it's such a weird concept.
It is. At its core, though, brain damage is definitely, and I don't think it's very hidden. It's pretty blatantly obvious, but this movie is definitely a metaphor on drug addiction. And
very much so.
Yes, and almost there's a scene in the movie when our lead character Brian's like almost relapsing, and he's struggling with it, and it paints the picture so perfectly of somebody that's going through withdrawals and relapsing from trying to kick a habit. And when I thought about it, I kind of did a little bit of research on it, and Henenlotter essentially wrote the script after he had pretty much quit doing coke. And so
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, this movie to me feels like his more personal film, one that one that really was near and dear to him, and that he really poured his heart and soul on the script when he was writing it. And you can kind of tell just the way it's shot. There's so many. The cinematography in this movie is just amazing.
It's really legitimately good. There's several scenes that are like objectively really good scenes, like the way they're lit, the way they're framed. They're just really legitimately great scenes. I think he did a good job, like taking that drug metaphor. He did a good job showing the effect of being high as something that someone would enjoy enough that you could understand why they would want to have that feeling again, while at the same time showing how it gradually takes over, changes the personality, and how you reach that point where there's stuff that you don't even remember doing. Like it really, as silly as the movie is, there's a lot that rings true. Now, I've never had a drug issue. I've had friends that have, but like the other side that I kind of responded to, I've known a few people who have had like mental breakdowns, not drug related necessarily, but they've had like breaks from reality, and like it rang so true to me. Everybody's reaction to his character when he starts changing, and like he's saying stuff, he's trying to clarify, and it just makes it more crazy because he's not living in reality at that point. And it's funny, but it also rang true. Like I know what it's like to try to talk to somebody, and they're not, their cheese is already slid off their cracker.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, I've known people like that too, where like, even I remember seeing an old buddy of mine, and he was, well, this was drug related to him, but he was so addicted to drugs he didn't even know who the hell I was, and it was like, wow, like it's only been a few years since we've seen each other, it's pretty bad.
But I think a lot of that has to do with the performance from Brian. The actor, I think his name's Rick Hurst, if I'm not mistaken. He's just, his performance in this is just pitch perfect for what Henenlotter wants him to do. He really sells the scenes of going through withdrawals, and even when he's on his highest of highs and his lowest of lows, he punctuates it perfectly with his performance. The scenes where he's, when he's tripping and like he's going completely fucking crazy and just going all, it's hilarious. But then the scenes where he's down and down, it's really, really like depressing. So he's able to fluctuate that fine line between showing the highs of highs with drug addiction to the lowest of lows with drug addiction.
Yeah, and the performance by him is amazing.
I'm telling you,
I can't say enough. Really, everyone's performance, is quite amazing in this film, actually.
Yeah, I love. I was really impressed by the previous owners of Elmer, the woman is so over the top and campy that it's hilarious. But like the man, and I don't remember the names and whatnot of the actors, but the dude threw in a really good performance, especially the scene where he's kind of laying out the backstory and everything when he confronts him in the alleyway. Dude, that was a good performance. Like that was some good acting involved in that. Mm-hmm. And the voice of Elmer is this masterpiece.
Perfect.
It's so funny. I can't imagine anybody else doing it. It's such a perfect. It's like trying to recast the genie in Aladdin. Like nobody's gonna be Robin Williams, especially not Will Smith. Like it's. I could not imagine anyone else doing that voice. It's so funny. When he first started talking, I lost my mind.
Gilbert Godfrey would have been a good one too.
It would have been good, but I can't imagine it being as good as what we get.
No.
It's
honestly,
every time he talks. Every time he talks, it's gold.
No,
it's so funny.
It's the dialogue too. The dialogue's fantastic. Everything that comes
You're
out.
You're gonna want my juice.
Yeah. I love when he's trying to convince Brian to go out, and he's like, "Come on, man, let's go pick up some hookers."
He's direct.
Yeah, he totally is, man.
Oh, no, so funny.
Zachary, the voice actor for Elmer he used to be a horror host on cable TV, I believe, and he just has that voice, man. Almost reminds you of like a Vincent Price or someone like that has that just unique, just grandiose voice that just punctuates, sophistication almost, but like sinisterness as well. Like he just has that to a T. And I think I agree. I don't see anybody else that could voice Elmer and it work the way this does. I think this is perfectly cast.
Yeah, he fully understood the assignment.
Yes, he did.
Down to a T.
Down to a T.
Yeah, I loved every bit of it. Elmer is so fun. I just remember getting kind of grossed out the first time I seen it. Like, not even Elmer himself grosses me out because it just looks like a weird dildo is what it looks like. But, but the whole, like, the mouth really just kind of grossed me out when I first seen it. Yeah, the whole thing, and then the tentacles kind of moving around. That's gross.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be like, yeah, get on my neck and stick your needle in me, please.
Put me on your neck.
Yeah.
Okay. Man, what I really want to do now, and I just need to find a group that will appreciate the joke, but I want to take that scene. Y'all saw Prometheus, right?
Yeah.
I want to take that scene from Prometheus where the little snake worm thing comes out of the pond and put Elmer on it with Photoshop.
That'd be great.
Hello. Yep. Hi.
He's such a good creature design. Like as simple as he is, like a slug worm. He really looks like a blue Mr. Hanky, but he with a detachable jaw, which is really sick. And then the teeth. Yeah, I agree. His look is just cool.
Yeah.
Well, and they did a lot of good puppetry and stop motion, like the mixture of all those things. Obviously, he's better. He got somebody who understood stop motion better in this movie than in Basket Case. Mm-hmm. But the motion, the eyes and the expressions and stuff. Like, he's a very expressive character. It's I found myself a little bit impressed with Elmer.
Impressive. They actually made I can't remember. There was a company that made a full scale version of him, and it was so detailed and it looked so cool. I can't remember the name of the company. I've seen it before, but I was like, man, I would love to have that. I would love that.
You know that guy that goes to our the convention that we go to every year. Well, the one that we used to go to every year before COVID. Yeah. But you know the guy that sets up there where he does all the clay?
Oh, the clay guy, yeah.
Yeah. He did an Elmer.
Did he really?
Yep.
I did not see
and
that.
it was a decent sized one too.
Wow, man.
I, I I, I, followed him on Facebook for the longest time, so I seen
I
when
need
he
a
made one.
concrete Elmer to put in my flower bed.
That would be dope.
Yeah, man, I want a full scale version of him just to display in the movie room. But man, I gotta tell you, when we talk about the cinematography, the blues in this movie are just so beautiful. All the shots in the apartment, and especially in Brian's room and stuff like that, you see the blues.
The
Just
water around his face and all.
yeah, man, they're
I love that. That was so cool.
It almost transitioned to a purple, and it's just
Mhm.
like it's beautifully done. And then the scene that I always think of is the scene when he's in the bed, when Elmer first has contact with him, and he's tripping out, and he sees the light fixture on the ceiling, and it turns into an eye, starts slowly into an eye, and then you see the blue liquid come through, rush through, like to his bed, and it just like that effect and stuff like that, the way they use it. Oh, so cool, dude.
Yeah, dude's whole life turned into a Tool video.
It did, yeah.
It's so cool.
And you get more of that later on in the movie too.
It is a trippy movie, man.
Yeah, the scene in the car, the junkyard. Oh my god, dude.
Oh well, yeah, all the different color lights and stuff.
It was like a Pink Floyd show.
It was
Yeah,
great.
it was insane.
But my favorite part of that was his reaction to everything going on when he was jumping up and down like a kid. He was like, "This is
Yippee!
My favorite moment in that shot was the where the security guard was like, hey, he got his attention, and he's like, all the colors.
What'd you call me, boy? You say I was colored, boy?
Oh my god, dude! It was
It's insane. It's so good.
Sequence was great. Like I said, like I said, I've never done hallucinogens or anything like that, but I can imagine like tripping that hard on something like that would just it would almost be like that.
It'd be wild, man.
All the colors and stuff like that. It just
I could see like somebody on acid experiencing something like this.
yeah, never done anything like that, but that 100% feels.
All right, so not that we would ever encourage people to take drugs, but if you were to take some acid and watch this movie, please tell us what that experience was like.
It probably scared the shit out of a lot of them.
Oh, it would be terrifying. Oh, terrifying.
Oh man.
No, the drug trips were excellently crafted. All of them, every single gag, every single one of them was just brilliantly done. I don't know how they did that effect with the windshield and the cracks, and then they would shimmer through and stuff. I would love to know.
Yeah.
Because it was really cool.
I don't think that was CGI too. I think that was just a play on film.
Yeah, it would have been too.
I feel like it would have had to, because I don't even think they could have afforded CGI.
Oh, this budget was so small, and that's another thing that impresses me. What he's able to do with the cinematography and everything with a minuscule budget like he had is just mind blowing to me.
Well, again, you've got the guerrilla style filming, so that didn't cost anything. Permits, stuff like that didn't cost anything. He probably did film at that hotel. He probably paid somebody under the table to film there and got away with it. Again, no permits needed. So he probably paid cheap for a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I could see where it was a lower budget, but you could tell that the majority of the money was actually spent on the effects and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. I also was impressed. I thought that the gore looked better in this. Like there's a scene like where he's during the withdrawals scene where he has the pulling the junk out of his ear and then the gushing blood. Like it was effective. Like it's funny, but it was effective gore though. It's compared to what Basket Case looked like. Yeah. It was like if I had seen that one when I was younger, that would have bothered me bad. That was some Nightmare on Elm Street stuff right there.
It was really gross, man. It was very visceral too.
Yeah. There's a couple of scenes that are like, to have been such a funny movie, there are a few scenes that get this close to going too far.
Oh my god, I know exactly. Well,
you know the scene I'm talking about.
The infamous scene, yeah, totally.
Waiting on that one.
Ugh.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that one.
The scene that you were talking about, though, before we get into that one, I just wanted to point out that you were talking about the dialogue with Elmer and everything. That's probably one of my favorite dialogues from him. He's pulling on that shit on his ear, and next thing you know, that shit's just start flying, blood just starts pouring out, and he's like, "Wow, you're really falling apart, Brian." And that's probably my favorite dialogue right there.
His laugh is just so good too.
Yeah, he's like just joy, just absolute joy.
You can tell he's having fun with it.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
so good.
It's a
I want to help you, buddy. I really want to help.
metaphor on drugs, man. The drugs just take over your mind and they ruin you. They make you like their bitch essentially. I mean, you're
Yeah.
you really can't think for yourself. You can't do for yourself. All you can think about is getting your next kick, and that's what it was, man. I think it's done wonderfully in this.
Oh, we all know people who have reached that point where they want to stop. They hate it, and they try, and then they're right back.
Yeah.
Worse than they were before. Like we've seen that happen to. We've all seen that happen to somebody.
Yep,
Oh, yeah.
100%. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's heartbreaking stuff too.
Yeah, it's
Witness.
sad.
Yep. So, you guys want to get into the infamous scene?
Oh God! All right, brace myself in for this one. Well,
first,
the whole lead up to that scene's great because first, before you have that scene occur, Brian is dating a girl, and you know, as soon as Elmer fixates on him and gets on him, like his whole world changes, and basically the girl's on the back burner. He doesn't really keeps pushing her off, doesn't really, communicate with her, and his brother who lives with him, they're kind of like trying to figure out what's going on with Brian. They don't know what's happening to him. They just see his odd behavior, and it just doesn't make any sense. And as much as they try to get out of him, they're not getting anything coherent out of him, if they get anything out of him at all. So there's a scene when they try to go on a date, him and his girlfriend, and he's trying to explain to her what's going on with him, and it's not making any sense. He's very incoherent. And then they cut to his plate, which he's eating spaghetti and meatballs. But then when you look down, when he looks down, he sees pulsating brains where the meatballs should be, and they're just pulsating. And then he looks away, and then he looks back down, and there's more of them. And it's funny because I thought this was pretty interesting. Nightmare on Elm Street 4 had kind of a similar gag, and it came out around the same time this movie came out, like 8. So I thought that was pretty interesting. They both had the same spaghetti and meatball gag. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. You think about it, but
that's cool. Yeah.
no,
It also kind of made me think of Stephen King's It when they're at the Chinese restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of made me think of that a little bit too.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that it did a good job from out the gate with the mystery of what was going on. Like before we ever saw Elmer, like when you saw the two old people that were freaking out, like absolutely freaking out. And when they go to the bathtub and she starts screaming, I was expecting like some bloody scene, and it's just a bathtub full of water.
yeah,
Like, what is going on here? And then they just start going to people's houses like, let us look at your bathtub. Like,
when they went to that girl's house, that girl in her apartment, they beat on the door, and then the I forget his name, but the husband rushed into her apartment to look at their bathtub. Did you realize the girl? Did you notice the girl?
Yeah, she's been in every one of his films.
Yeah, it was the hooker with a heart of gold from Basket Case.
Yeah.
That she was the hooker with the heart of gold in Frankenhooker too, because she was on the TV. She was
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, she
And
makes,
old Zorro made a return in this too.
yeah, Zorro was in here too. Yeah, dude. But Brian says that he when he's trying to explain to her what's going on with him, he has a line of dialogue I just thought was fascinating. I had to write it down. But he basically told her, he's like, I can he said, I can touch an object and listen to the sound of its color. I'm like, what? like when he said that, I was dying, man.
That's pretty out there.
That's some Kanye mess right there.
Is out there. He was going off just dialogue like that, and it was just like, wow, I wish I can write all this shit down that he's saying because this is brilliant. This is brilliant, like trippy shit, but no, it's just would have been too much. I would have filled all the pages with shit because he was just going off.
It was good.
That's great.
In that scene though, when you were talking about the spaghetti and stuff, were you not troubled by the sound that the brains were making?
Disgusting.
Oh,
so gross.
So gross. Yeah, very, very gross. He has, I don't know who his Foley art person is, but like his movies have some of the nastiest sound design I've ever heard in a movie. Like this grody sound design.
Well, I did notice that he used the same. I don't know if it's the guy that created the music score or what, but I know this guy was part of the music staff or whatever of the film, but it was Gus Russo,
Mm-hmm.
And he was in Basket Case as well. He did Basket Case as well, so I did notice that. So yeah, there's a lot of similarities. He's using a lot of the same people, I noticed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's definitely this. It plays out kind of like a greatest hits, you know, of stuff that he loves. But yeah, the sound effect, and like it was an effective visual too, because like even though the size of the brains were obviously not like life size, they look pretty real. Like all of the brains in this look 1,000 times more real than the brain with the eye in it and Frankenhooker. Like those brains look really pretty realistic.
Yeah, it didn't look smoky. Yeah.
I wondered that in the opening scene when you meet the two people that own Elmer, and they were talking about how they were getting animal brains from the local butcher. I'm curious as to if those were real brains because they could have been real.
They really did look like real brains. Like if they were not, because a lot of movies will do that. Like I know that like the face hugger in Alien was like oyster and clam and like sheep's stomach and like so like they will use animal parts to build effects. Sometimes they may have been real brains.
Yeah, because I noticed that when she dropped it and it hit the floor, I noticed that like it almost seemed like a chunk of like membrane or something off to the side of it came off, and I was like, that actually looks real.
It squirted too.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if it was real, man. I'll be honest with you.
Well, George Romero used real, what was it, pig guts, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, intestines and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and even to this day, they still use it because remember, what was it, Cemetery, Adam Albrecht, he went down to a local like market and just grabbed a whole bunch of intestines.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it, man. It's a lot cheaper than actually going the practical route. I mean, and just build.
It is as practical as you can get.
And it's real. I mean, it's going to look real.
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, it's effective. It really does look
gross.
Good. Yeah, quite gross.
Can't imagine the smells on set. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Awful. I know with the Day of the Dead one, I mean,
that story is gross.
So nasty.
But like, there was some pretty gross stories about the smell of the house in the original Texas Chainsaw, too. Like that room with all the chickens and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, that's filmmaking, though, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that all that sequence leads up to Brian leaving her there, taking off, and finding this club called Hell, which he's going down the street. I love the shots of him going down the street because, like I said, this is our Frank Henenlotter, like New York sleazecore trifecta. Mm-hmm. This one punctuates it perfectly because New York is just picture perfect for the 80s in this movie, man. Looks great. I love every single scene in that punk club, from the music, from people trying to get into the bathroom, pounding on the doors, trying to get in because they want to do some coke in the bathroom. Just, I mean, the people dancing, the punks, like the aesthetic, all of it was just so cool. So
Yeah, it's a really cool scene, and I did love the slow reveal of the hell sign too in the red neon. It's a really good visual.
great visual. Yeah, great visual.
Kind of makes you wonder if it's a real club or was a real club.
Probably was. It's a cool scene.
It's a great scene. I love him dancing and just hopping around and stuff like that, and just get with the
and somehow attracts the most attractive woman in the whole place. She's like, this dude's nuts. I bet he's got drugs.
Oh, she loved his suit. Remember, she's like, oh, nice
yeah,
suit.
It's the suit. Yeah, it's the suit.
Suit got him. Yeah, yeah, totally. And yeah, actually, she was one of the hookers on Frankenhooker.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was one of the hookers in the infamous hooker explosion scene, super crack scene. But yeah, so she's into him. She's digging him. She knows he's messed up because she even points it out, like, you're fucked up, aren't you? He's so out of it. He doesn't even pay attention. But yeah, she wants
don't pass out on me.
Don't pass out on me. So she takes him. I don't know what she take. So they go to the bathroom. Well, no, they're in that hallway. Then there's like an emergency escape that they go through, and they're just in this weird little area.
I got the sense that it was like an alley, maybe like a back alley behind the club.
It felt like it was like higher up though, like it was on the roof.
I thought it was a basement.
Yeah, for some reason I got the impression that they were up higher. I don't know.
Like to me, it looked like they were like in some sort of like a boiler room.
Yeah,
we are the three blind men trying to figure out what an elephant is.
I really was trying to figure out where the hell they were.
Yeah, dude. Like I said, I don't know. For some reason, my mind just went to like higher up. They were.
Like,
I don't know why.
Tony's like, they're on the roof. Corey said, they're in the basement. I'm like, they're not even in the building.
You met somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, you met us in the middle. But yeah, so we get the infamous scene, which got to be my favorite kill in the movie. I mean, hands down.
Oh, hold on, before we get to that, when she starts rubbing up on him, she grabs his crotch. There's a little bit of foreshadowing there.
Yeah, definitely.
Because what does she? Yeah, she says, "Feels like you got a real monster in there."
And boy, does he. But I think I remember the first time watching this, I'm like, wait a minute, are they going to go there? Oh shit, they're going to go there.
Like, oh, they went there.
Yeah.
And like I'm still a little amazed, even in the 80s, that scene didn't get this in NC-17.
I'm shocked too. It really.
I don't know how they got away with that. I really don't know how he got away with that with the censors.
Here's a really mindfuck. Okay, they allowed this to happen. Okay, but if Cronenberg tries to put something out, they're going to shoot down everything that he does.
Absolutely.
And sensitize the shit out of his stuff.
And like, I would imagine, like most movies, this movie probably had to make some cuts, like, to get in the theater.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm sure they had to cut stuff to make this an R. I don't know how that got through.
What? It's funny. You guys noticed that Brian's got like this cut on his lip.
Mm-hmm.
Noticed that, right? Well, apparently there was a scene that was shot and that was cut from the final film where Brian and his brother, I think, go to a bar and someone starts a fight with his brother and he defends him and stuff like that. So he gets tooled up pretty good. And that's where the cut came from. But apparently they had to cut that scene for whatever. It didn't gel well with the rest of the film. So they cut it. Yeah, I have no idea, man. I guess it just didn't flow well with the narrative. I don't know. But that's the reason why he's got the cut on his lip throughout the whole movie, and it's never really explained. It's just there.
Yeah.
But then looking up Trippy and stuff like that, Henenlotter also said that he put the cut on Brian's lip because he thought Rick Hurst was too much of a pretty boy, so he wanted to kind of give him like something to kind of like offset that a little bit. So I guess like
a rough look.
Yeah, the best thing he could come
Elmer wasn't enough.
Yeah, let's put a cut on his lip. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. He's like, yeah, he looked too much like a fucking pretty boy was his exact quote.
He had a sentient turd penis coming out of his neck.
Sentient turd penis. Yes, he
But
did.
He was a pretty boy.
Yes, he did.
All right, so before we get into this scene, I'm gonna tell you exactly what this scene made me feel like. I know, Corey, you're not much of an anime guy, right?
Oh, boy.
No, I'm not. I'm not into anime. I would like to try because I do see where there is like horror animes.
All right, Tony, you do watch or have had like, all right. One of the things about anime is like, particularly like when I was in like middle school or whatever, when I first started getting into anime, it wasn't the big cultural thing that it is now. So like you couldn't just find it anywhere. It was like there was Dragon Ball Z and some of that, but like most of the like legit anime coming from Japan, it wasn't on TV, it wasn't popular. So like I would go to like FYE or whatever store that sold videos, and they would have an anime section. It was always back in the back, like right beside the porn.
Yeah, it was by the porn.
And like you would go back there, and you always like felt like as a kid, I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna go to hell for being here. And like you'd find a cover that looked really cool, and somehow convince your mom to buy it because it didn't have a rating on it. And like you always had like a 75 to 80% chance that somewhere in that anime, it was going to go from a normal story to all of a sudden somebody's getting banged in the mouth. There's always like it would like be completely normal, and then all of a sudden tentacle rape out of nowhere. So like you never knew when it was coming. This scene, I was like, it took me back because I was like, there's no way they're gonna do that. And sure enough, boom.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
They did it.
Yeah.
My first thoughts exactly was like when I first saw this, I'm like, I see where they're going with this, but are they really going to show? Oh, they're going to show. Oh, they showed it. Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, they showed it. I was shocked even then. I know from what I hear, the production crew like walked off set when that scene happened because they were so disgusted. Like they had to just leave.
It's vile. It's vile.
Right. I could see why, because you see her actually perform the fellatio on it, and it's just like, wow, like damn. It's like Elmer comes out and like, damn, he gets to them brains, all right. And it's like, shit, man, that's definitely. And then you see the goopy like brain matter and shit like that. It's really disgusting.
Yeah, I mean, like obviously Elmer is eating her brains, you know, like it isn't technically what it looks like, but I mean, try telling that to somebody that walks by while you're watching it though.
Yeah, totally.
It's not what you think.
I want to know what Brian was thinking at that time.
Well, he's so out of it.
He's out because later on he doesn't even remember that it happened.
Yeah.
But he grabs her by the head, almost like he was imagining that this was actually happening to him.
Probably was.
Yeah, but I mean, like, he definitely doesn't remember it later. He's like, what did we do?
Yeah.
Oh, which one of my favorite
I
lines
wake up and there's blood in my underwear.
Yeah.
Is she okay? No, she's not okay.
They ate her brains.
I ate her brains. I like how nonchalant he is with it.
Another thing,
She's
Elmer,
not okay.
he's like, part of what I do is to spare you from any unpleasantries. So it's like the drug is kind of like sparing him from the really fucked up shit that he could be seeing. He's just seeing the stuff that he wants to see or that he's really, really passionate about seeing, not the unpleasant shit that's coming along with it. So at least Elmer does that for him.
Yeah. Oh,
But yeah,
so good.
that scene is just it's shocking. It's amazing. Like Josh said, I don't know how they got away with not getting that scene cut and how it was able to
Because
be.
it's so graphic and it lasts so long. Like, it's not brief at all. It's such a long scene.
Oh, it was intentional.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just based on the way Elmer looks, he's very phallic looking anyway. So you knew they designed him for that scene in particular. Definitely, it's just, I mean, that's what he was going for.
Yeah.
But Henenlotter, man, was on. I still can't believe. Like, it still shocks me seeing that scene. I'm watching it, and even today, I'm like, wow, that scene wasn't cut. Holy shit.
So we talked about the first times we watched this film and everything. The first time I watched this film, Tony and I were drinking together, and Tony didn't tell me about that scene.
You
Here I
can't
am.
warn somebody about that.
Here I am. I was.
Man, come on.
I think I had been up for 24 hours because I was at the time I was working third shift. So I usually on my days off I never got sleep. So yeah, I was sitting there drinking, having a great time. I was probably drunk and just overdone, and then that scene popped up, and I was like, "What the fuck?"
You bastard! Why didn't
All of a sudden, Corey's crying.
Yeah. No, I think the exact words was, "I don't know how I feel about this right now, Tony."
Yeah. That's exactly what you told me. That's exactly what you told me.
Oh man, good times.
Yeah, good times, dude. But yeah, that, like I said, blows my mind. I was able to get through the MPAA. No cuts were made. Everything was good. Leads up to another one of my favorite lines when he says the underwear, like blood in my underwear shit. That was hilarious. He's dead, and he's like, "Well, fucking course she's dead. I ate her brains."
Yeah, I find blood in my underwear. I just assume I ate at Taco Bell.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Had that Taco Supreme.
Oh.
I feel like what probably happened is the when it came time to make the cuts and to watch, they probably just checked out about halfway through this movie and didn't watch any more of it. They just let it go. Just let it go.
I don't know, man. It just blows my mind. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
Still can't.
Imagine being in a theater when this came out and that scene hitting.
Scene happening. Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if
like
people walk out of the theater when they saw that. Can
Because
imagine.
I'm thinking back to other movies from like that same time period.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of a horror movie, sci-fi movie, any kind of movie from that time period that was released in theaters, not a dirty movie, but like an actual in theaters movie. I can't think of a movie that has a scene like that from that era.
Yeah.
Can you?
And that was such a great year for horror. 1988 was such a fantastic year for horror films, man. So many good ones came out that year.
I mean, yeah, there were some fantastic movies in that time period, but like, I can't think of a movie that had a scene that was graphic in that way.
Yeah, honestly, I can't either.
What about Deadly Spawn? Is there anything graphic in that? 'Cause that came out around that time period, didn't it?
Not sexually explicit.
No.
Not like that.
I mean, not even trauma films, not even like Toxic, as offensive as Toxic Avenger is. It's nothing like that.
And it's extremely offensive. That's why I love it.
I mean, Toxic Avengers, like nudity, sexuality, that kind of stuff is on par with like Porky's or something. Like, well, it's a
good comparison.
The violence and the gore in that movie are crazy, but like, I can't think of a movie that has anything as like graphic and explicit as that one shot from that time period.
And like you said, man, it lingers too. He lingers on that shot too. It's not a quick edit.
No, it's a long scene. He like from both the back and forth between those two camera angles, and then gradually the blood starts pouring. And like it's a crazy scene. I don't know how. All I know is anybody in the theater during that time when that came out had to have been. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people walked out.
I need to ask Brian if he saw this movie in theaters to see. That's actually a pretty good idea. He probably did see this in theaters, and he probably does know if people walked out or they were offended. Or I need to ask him.
I would love to know. I would love to know people's response to that, because like I feel like a movie coming out now that had that scene would have a huge response.
On today?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, today, yeah.
It would get canceled immediately.
Immediately.
Yeah.
immediately.
It wouldn't. I don't even think it would make it to theaters. It would be one of those ones where it had to be released direct on physical media.
Yeah, it'd be like an extended director's cut or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. Different time, man. Wild
Different.
West.
Sleaze at its finest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that, like I said, good stuff. The Hell Club, the music. You said the name of the band was, what was the name of the band?
The Swimming Pool Cues.
Swimming Pool Cues. Okay, because I got.
Yeah, they were like a kind of like a new wave punk band, because I think they opened for like groups like Duran Duran and some of that kind of, like they didn't have like a huge following, I don't think. But like, as soon as, that's the one thing I did look up, I was like, who is this? I like this song. So I added that album that it came off of. It's a song called Corruption. I added that album to my Apple Music library.
I need to check it out too, man, because I really dug that song. Really, really, really enjoyed it. It reminded me, there's a scene in one of my most favorite underrated horror films of all time, Alone in the Dark. And there's a scene when one of the characters' sister, she's wanting to go to like this punk show, and there's actually a punk band called the Sick Fucks that play in the movie. They play a song in the movie, and it's great. It's fantastic. And I just love that scene. And that's what it reminded me of watching Brain Damage. It reminded me of that scene too. I'm like, damn, man. I love when they interject like these smaller, like punk, like new wave bands in these horror films, and you get like a complete. You don't always get a complete song, but you get like a musical number and shit like that. I just eat that shit up. I love it.
Oh yeah.
I've always loved it when a real band is just included in any movie, like when the Yeah Yeah Yeahs are in Kill Bill, or like was it in Airheads when White Zombie's playing in the background in Airheads?
Yeah,
I think like Triple X had Rammstein in it, Rammstein, however you say that. Like I love it when they do that. That's so cool to me.
I do too. That's one of my favorite little things that they do. I wish they would do it more, honestly.
Ace Ventura with Cannibal Corpse.
That was that's a big one for me. That's the one I remember from my childhood, because Ace Ventura is like one of my favorite comedies of all time, and I love metal. I'm a metalhead through and through. So I saw Cannibal Corpse, I was like, oh my god! And then I saw Jim Carrey going on stage with them.
So cool. Yeah, so cool. I loved it. Not quite the same thing, but I loved it when Alice Cooper did the soundtrack for Jason Lives.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah.
It's just cool when like my horror and my metal overlap.
Perfect marriage. Yes, I love the like I said, I know we don't want to talk about it. I got to throw this out there, but when Dawkins did Dream Warriors, I mean, this shit was amazing.
Yeah,
it was amazing. I loved it. I just when horror and metal go together, they go together like perfectly. So, but not when they. I will say though, when they randomly interject like really like grindcore and shit in the horror films, especially when they do that nowadays and shit like that, it really throws me off. I don't dig it as much, but back in the 80s and shit, they did it right. The music would just fit perfectly with the film. So
yeah,
I don't. It kind of throws me out of the movie now when they do that. They put like a grindcore band or really heavy band on the soundtrack of like this like indie film or something like that. Just like, oh god, I can't deal with it. Don't dig on that much, but like I said, the 80s they did everything right.
They did. Even when they didn't, they did.
It was the decade of excess, man, and
decade of decadence.
Decade of decadence, yeah. They did it perfectly. But like I said, even Elmer's song was great. I loved it.
It was so funny.
It's hilarious.
His voice, like I just kept waiting for more scenes where he would talk. Yeah. Like anytime he wasn't talking, I'm like, man, I hope he has another scene where he talks.
Hope he says something. Hope he has more dialogue.
And he reminded me of the smart gremlin from A New Batch.
Yeah.
Something about that, like his voice. It's so funny to me. Anytime a monster sounds really intelligent and like well put together, That's always going to be hilarious to me.
It just throws you off, but it makes it
God, it's funny. That's one of my favorite gags ever. Is a smart sounding, like professor sounding monster.
Yeah.
Well, Josh pointed something out earlier, and I thought it was pretty good. Henenlotter does have his gags that he likes to do in his movies.
Mhm.
You can definitely tell, especially with us. We've watched all three back to back to back, so we kind of caught like all the little things that he does. He also has a thing about screaming gags. He has like someone scream for a long period of time in one of his movies, and this one is great. Yeah, it's just fantastic.
There's a few good ones because that the old lady has some pretty good moments too. But yeah, when Brian he has a really extended.
So good, man. So good. Oh, love it.
Yeah, I dug that whole hotel scene.
Yeah.
Honestly, my favorite scene in the whole film is the bathtub scene. When he's sitting in the bathtub and he's like a little kid, like
Oh,
a
God,
Elmer
yeah.
pops up, squirts the blue goo all over him. He's like, woo!
Yeah, that scene's fantastic.
I love I do like the shower
favorite
scene too. The shower scene with the same like big muscle bound actor that plays Zorro. It's that scene does not play out like you expect it to at all.
No.
Because like he keeps looking, it's like, man, you okay, man? You all right, dude?
He's like,
I
don't
was
worry,
gonna
man.
mess with you in here.
We're gonna mess with you around here. He was nice to him and shit. I'm like, wow.
And then nothing even happens to him. Like you're expecting him to be the one that dies, and literally nothing happens to him. It was just an excuse for him to be like to show his butt.
That dude's massive though, man. He could have been like in like 80s action movies. He was huge.
He could have been a contender.
Yeah.
He looks like one of those dudes used to be on God, was it American Gladiators?
Yeah, like Thunder or something.
Yeah.
Or they had crazy names like Renegade, Thunder, and all, like, so funny, man. But did you guys notice? And this is like a really small little sequence, but I loved it. When Brian first gets into that hotel, when he's going through his withdrawals, there's like big, like there's like a big huge biker dude, and he's walking and he's just like talking nonsense and crazy shit. And there's a tweaker like right beside him, like he's all passing out and shit like that. And he's kind of like using the wall to kind of drag himself along and shit like that. And he's following him. Even like a little scene like that, because you really can see the drug culture at this time too. Because then there's even a scene in the Hell Club when Brian comes back through the door after the fellatio scene, and there's this dude just tweaking out, like he's tweaked out, but he's passed out on the wall, and he doesn't see a thing, like nothing. So I mean, he has little moments where he just interjects stuff like that to really.
And now that you bring that scene up, those guys, they show up and have all that dialogue. Did it ever come back to them, or do they? I feel like there's a missing scene somewhere.
It's a quick little thing.
It's interesting. Like I kind of forgot about him, but yeah, like it never showed us what happened to him.
I think the whole point of him even shooting that sequence is just to prove, like, hey, he's in a shitty hotel with tweakers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of drugs going on in here. But I think that's the same guy that was the reverend in the bathroom in Frankenhooker that was doing the crack. I think it was the same actor.
Could have been.
I'm 100% on that. He looks very similar, but I'm pretty damn sure that's the same guy.
Yeah, could have been.
So I don't know. It's funny when you watch these movies back to back, you notice a lot of the same faces.
I really love the that kill in the bathroom though.
Oh yeah, when he's taking a shit.
Yeah. I don't even think he's taking a shit. I think he's just sitting in there reading a comic book or something.
You know how you do when you're on the pot taking a shit. You're gonna read something. I mean,
yeah. But yeah, this guy, I really like it because there's like the old '80s, cheese blood spatter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You tell like somebody was clearly just in there with like a like a squirt bottle and just squirting it everywhere.
Spraying the shit on the walls and stuff. Yeah. Which
That's great.
The cool thing is when the guy's sitting there reading that little comic, I think he's reading like a comic book or something. It's really dope looking.
Yeah.
Like it's sweet.
I had to do a double take because I was wondering what magazine that was, and I didn't get the name of it. But I was looking at it because I had just watched Friday the 13th Part 3 when she was reading the Fangoria magazine.
It was the comic was called Dead World.
That was it. Dead World. It's like a zombie on the front of it.
Yeah, and I remember I had a couple of issues of Dead World at one point. I'm gonna look up real quick because it was from it was an independent company, Caliber Comics.
I was gonna say it's got to be some really, really obscure like company.
Well, there was a Dead World RPG, like a Dungeons and Dragons style RPG game called Dead World, and then they had comics, and they were actually pretty dope. Like they had some really like all of them had hand painted like covers and stuff. They were all super gory. So I mean that had to have just been something that he really liked and wanted to plug.
I loved it though. That's another thing I love. Like we talk about music and movies like that, when like a character in an '80s movie is reading like a gore magazine or some like really, really crafty, like I don't know, just like a comic book or magazine and stuff like. I love when they do that, man, because it shows like the issues that came out in the era. It's era correct, of course. It's just really, really dope, man.
And like I miss Fangoria magazine, like actual physical Fangoria horror magazine, man.
Mm-hmm.
I used to love those magazines.
I still go to Books A Million and pick them up, honestly.
Are they still in print? I didn't know they still made those.
I think I have a Fango that came out. Either that, I might have a Horror Hound. I think that's what I have. But they still make tons of horror magazines. I still go to Books A Million all the time and pick them up.
All right, I didn't even know they still made that stuff.
Yeah.
Everything's online now.
It's sick, man. That's Books A Million's the only place I know where to get them.
Next time I'm gonna have to check that out.
Well, Eric might get them. That's Scratch and Spin.
Brian's got them too. He's got a whole bunch of Fangos and stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Because at one point I was buying them.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I like doing while watching these films is all the small details. And I'm kind of curious. I don't know if you would have caught it, Josh, and maybe you would have, but I'm kind of curious
not.
if Tony's ever caught it. Did you notice the Slayer poster in Brian's room?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. You noticed that too, Josh?
Yeah, I love Slayer.
Awesome. Yeah.
Rain and blood, baby. Rain and blood.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that was so neat. I was like, oh, is that Slayer?
Yeah, dude. I wrote that and I was like, oh, that's sick, man. I wonder if Henenlotter likes Slayer. That'd be pretty dope. Why else would you put the Slayer poster on the wall?
Again, might have just made him to make him look a little badass. I don't know.
It works.
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
There's nothing better than Slayer.
Oh, yeah, dude.
That's the key.
Yeah, a couple of musical artist posters on the wall, if I'm not mistaken. A couple of them I didn't recognize.
I didn't recognize a couple of
artists, but I don't know who they were.
Yeah. Yes, I couldn't recognize what they were, but I did see the Slayer one. I was like, oh, that's Slayer. That's cool. The other thing was I noticed that, of course, we're a huge fan of like time period stuff. So, like on top of the refrigerator, there was a box of Frosted Flakes.
Yeah, but I
thought that was so cool.
It wasn't the name brand stuff. It was just like the off-brand stuff because they couldn't get away with putting the name brand shit. So it just looks so generic.
It looks terrible.
Frosted Flakes. That's all it was, man. It was so great.
It was literally a white box with like a brown stripe across it. That said Frosted Flakes.
It's so generic. And then he had like Kool-Aid or something next to it, but it's like purple drink mix or something like that, and it's just all it was.
Like, Mom, can we have some Kool-Aid? We got Kool-Aid at home. Kool-Aid at home. Purple drink.
Purple drink.
Yeah, dude, I paid attention to all that little shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was doing this go round. Well, yeah.
I'm definitely gonna be watching this one again. I might have to pick up that Blu-ray that Tony's got. I might have to pick that one up.
It's sick. I got a copy in my collection.
It's got this one's got to make it onto the shelf.
Hell yeah,
Yep.
dude. I'm glad it's shelf worthy. I love hearing that.
Yeah. Anything Arrow is really shelf worthy.
Oh, true. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. So we're talking about all the different things in this film. What of course you like the cameo from Dwayne.
Yeah. So great. That whole subway scene.
Well, first things first. What about the brother macking on the girlfriend here?
Oh yeah, that's fucked up.
Didn't you feel that way right in the beginning though?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he wanted her from the start, and like
Tell.
Brian really set him up too. He's like, I can't go. Take my brother.
Yeah. My brother will go with you. He's got nothing going on. He'll love to go with you.
Yeah, of course he's like, I don't want to impose, but I mean,
Point about it.
Yeah, he was waiting in the wings.
Yeah, he was just
Waiting in the wings, ready
Plot-
to pounce.
plot twist. He put Elmer in his bedroom.
Maybe. He just randomly shows up in his room. I mean, there's no.
Yeah, we never do really get an explanation for why he chose that person or how he wound up there.
I guess it was the older couple, which we never get their names. I don't think they're just the old couple, like the older couple.
Yeah.
They never get names for them. I don't think. But I guess they're kind of close in the apartment, and maybe he just, I don't know. Maybe he was just close to Brian's apartment. And he just happened to be sleeping, so it's like, oh, easy target. Let me just latch on to him since he's sleeping. Yeah, but it definitely feels like you missed the scene where they supposedly had that bar fight.
Yeah.
Set up something to where he was all passed out and shit like that because he was all,
Well, he was already feeling sick, so I think Elmer had already gotten into him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, I went to bed to take a nap, and now I feel like crap.
All the blood in his bed and shit. And then he's back of his neck. He's like, fuck is this? What is happening?
Yeah. But here's my thing, okay? So like Elmer, like, does he really need a host? He really doesn't.
So he doesn't.
He's a sneaky little bastard, so he can get whoever really.
He can get around, but it's all to serve the narrative. Is all that's for.
Oh no, I get that, because if that was the case, then we wouldn't have a storyline.
And we wouldn't have a story.
I guess the idea is he's sort of, because I was thinking about that too, because he's not a parasite, and it's not a symbiosis type thing, because he's not getting anything physically from Brian really. He's just keeping him juiced up. So and he's basically using him like an Uber.
Yeah. He said Uber, yeah.
He's just taking him. He's the chauffeur to get him to wherever he wants to go and get him close enough to a person that it's easy for him to just jump down their throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's in New York, in the slums of New York at that.
Yeah, he doesn't want.
He could have his
too sophisticated to be crawling through the slums of the streets of New York. But he'll crawl through a public New York bathroom to get to the guy in the toilets.
Yeah, I mean, we need to respect this man. Elmer has a master's degree.
He totally does. Sounds like he does. He's a professor in biochemistry and shit.
He does sound like a distinguished gentleman.
So intelligible, yeah.
That's Dr. Elmer to you.
But yeah, you're right, man. Like he uses him basically as like a ride, like to get around from one place to another. And I think he really just gets off on fucking with people and destroying their lives. I mean, he really does. Like he just loves it. He gets so much pleasure out of watching Brian suffer when he's in that room and he's going through his balls. Like he's soaking up and loving every second of it.
He's very cocky because he knows that at the end of the day, no one can resist him. He's like the ultimate drug.
Yep, it's the ultimate drug, and he's like, "Hey, you're not gonna kick me, man. I'm gonna be here." Because they have that competition. He's like, "Who can give in first?" You're like, you can give in for having withdrawals, wanting the juice, but no, you can give in for wanting the fresh brains and stuff like that. All right, look, we'll make a competition out of it. We'll see who cracks first. I love that.
But he always takes an outlandish concept, and he has a way of thinking it through more than he has to, or more than most people would expect him to.
Yeah.
So like even just that little detail of the previous owner saying, "You're not feeding him human brains. That's going to make him stronger." The idea that they were purposefully keeping him weaker with animal brains.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a small detail, but it adds to the concept. Like he thought it through.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to, but he did. He did that for us.
Yeah, I like that. That. He's like, nah, I need these animal brains. They were keeping me weak. They were keeping me down. Because I need fresh human brains.
Yeah.
Make me stronger. God, I wish I wrote down like the whole backstory to Elmer because it's fascinating as hell.
Yeah, it's insane. Conquistadors and like all kinds of crazy mess.
Was it ever explained exactly what he was though?
Nah, they don't ever.
I mean, you instantly go to like alien, like he's definitely like something out of this world, or is he like prehistoric? You know.
I'd have to watch the scene again. I don't think we really get a full answer for that, but he obviously is very good at what he does and has been doing it a really long time.
I love that they kept it vague like that. Because I mean, personally, I don't want to know if he's an alien or I don't want to know. I just think he's cool, and I love the fact that they kept it vague. Yeah, I don't know. I dig that.
Turns out Elmer is really the One Ring. He deceived Isildur. Betrayed Gollum.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
But yeah, Corey, like you said on the whole macking his brother's girl thing, yeah, that was pretty dirty. And then he's banging his brother's girl like right beside his room, so he can hear it. But then I love that they used the boner gag when Elmer comes shooting up between the sheets, and it looks like he's got a boner. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I've seen what they did there.
So many. The movie has so many good sight gags. It really is a funny movie.
Mm. That's good stuff.
It's great stuff, man.
Oh, well, did we about cover it?
Yeah.
Oh well, we didn't really.
We gotta talk about that ending.
Yeah, we gotta
talk about the ending.
100%.
So, subway scene. What's y'all's thoughts on the subway scene? Because I'm curious about the whole in the mouth thing.
It's interesting because at that point you wouldn't know that Elmer's actually in his body. He's just attached to him.
Mm-hmm.
Then when he comes out of his mouth, it's like, oh shit! Now he's actually in his body. Like, how the fuck did he get in there?
Crawled in there.
Should be asking that. I don't want to know how he gets in there.
I do think that again, consistency within the concept, going through the mouth would be a fast way to get to the brain. Going through the forehead would be a fast way to get to the brain. So, like, what Elmer does when he attacks always makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, he acts like kind of like a leech or something, but like he aims for what makes sense to get to what he's after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about the train car scene was when the way that Brian sees it with all the crazy pink and blue and like
psychedelics. Yeah,
it's a cool scene.
He's out of his mind still.
Yeah, he doesn't even know what he's done at that point.
Yeah,
my favorite thing about that scene is that all that shit was going on, and the New Yorkers on the subway couldn't give a fuck less. They just don't care. They just don't give a shit.
But I think that can really happen.
Totally, man. Like, New Yorkers don't give a shit, man. Like, they see crazy shit happen all the time. They're just so desensitized to it that it just doesn't bother them. It doesn't faze them. So that's what I love that Henenlotter captured that. Like, oh well, whatever.
Not my problem.
No big deal. But then, of course, the Dwayne cameo, too. I love that. Because it's almost like when you get like an Elmer and Belial face-off, are they going to go at it? because he's watching him and they're studying each other for a good minute, and then Dwayne for some reason just kind of slinks away and just goes away. Like, I don't know, maybe he was feeling like some animosity there. That would have been badass.
Sized them up.
I don't know.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Would have been so cool to see that.
Yeah. Did you guys notice he was wearing a wig?
Yeah,
He's totally wearing a wig.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because at the time he had short hair, he cut his hair, so they had to put a wig on him to make him look like Dwayne. So
But it wasn't curly anymore.
yeah,
It was like matted, straight. It was weird. Yeah.
a real mullet, like a real froey mullet.
Bro mullet.
Yeah.
Roll it.
Yeah. I like the fact that when he left the subway, he knew what he'd done at that point. You know?
But he tried to warn her too. He gave her plenty of warnings, like, "Hey, don't follow me. Like, leave me alone. Like, stop following me.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to happen to you. I don't want anything."
I'm not that into you, chick.
Yeah. Like, she was like totally committed to him and wanted to, like, she's like, "You don't even have to look at me. Just hear me out. Just let me give you my explanation and this and that." So she was really into him. I don't know, maybe it was a moment of weakness when she kind of slipped in with the brother, but you could tell she kind of felt bad because she was chasing him the whole time.
Yeah.
Pushing her away, and it's kind of sad, man. But it goes to show, like, when you get drugs involved, it'll affect your relationships too.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it affected his relationship with his brother and his girl. So,
Well, and there again, looking at the metaphor for drugs, your addictions and stuff, they don't just hurt you.
hurt people around you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Then we get the showdown in the alley with the old couple and Elmer, and oh, dude, it just goes fucking bonkers.
Oh yeah. His wife got it so bad.
Oh yeah, she did.
Dude, she couldn't get it out of her head, and then like you could tell he was going further and further in. I love that. I love that they showed like multiple shots where he was just like further and further in her head.
He was rooting around in there.
I thought that was cool.
But like Josh said, he's always on target. Like, he never misses. He goes straight for the forehead or straight through the mouth. Like, he never misses target.
Yeah, he knows what he's about.
That's what he's about. He wants them brains, man. That's all he cares about. At the end of the day, Elmer just wants them brains. But I thought at the end, like, you really did think that the old man was dead.
Yeah, especially when he smacked his face on the concrete.
Yeah, so when he pops back up and he squeezes him, it's like, oh shit! He squeezes the hell out of him too.
Yeah. It's a good shot.
All the juice just starts pouring into his brain. So fucking good, man.
Overload.
Yeah, overload. Yeah.
Major overload.
But that's the thing about the ending. So it tells me that was a drug overdose, and he died.
Yeah.
As sad as it is, man, the ending's pretty dark. Really.
Yeah.
It's dark, and it's
not literally dark.
It's ambiguous for a movie like this to end on a shot like that.
Mm-hmm.
With just this big beam of light coming out of a huge hole in his head.
Yeah. It's amazing.
The other way that could be interpreted, overdose, seems like part of it, but another way that could be interpreted is like,
yeah, he shot himself. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
He did shoot because of the bubbling that was happening on his head.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah, he did shoot that particular part because he aimed the gun at that part. So, yeah, yeah, that sequence was pretty gnarly, man.
I blame it on Courtney Love.
Oh.
Courtney would have been great with Elmer on her.
She would have given him a run for his money.
Whatever.
She would have had all that juice.
Definitely.
He'd have been trying to get away.
He'd have been like, I'm done with you.
I felt so bad for Elmer though, as much as he's like a manipulative and is Well, I mean, he's just a great character, but it's not 100% sure that he did die. Certainly looked like he did. He got squeezed the fuck out of, and he was like writhing on the ground. So, I mean, I don't know. It looked pretty brutal. I felt so bad for the little dude. Like, he's just the blue goo coming out and shit like that is just so sad. And his eyes, when Josh was talking about how like descriptive they are with everything with him, like the effects stuff like that, when his eyes are bulging out, like it's so sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Feel bad for him, man.
Yeah. You kind of I wish they would have explained a little more right there at the end with Brian, like what happened to Brian.
I'm cool with it. Like, keep it ambiguous, man. Let you like.
Well, yeah, I'm okay with that, but it's like it was like, wow, but that was the ending, you know.
Yeah.
I wonder if in the back of his mind he was thinking maybe he wanted to leave enough room for a sequel someday.
I'm wondering that too. I've always kind of wondered that every time I watch the ending.
Because I mean, Basket Case he made, more. I wonder if he wanted to leave it kind of a little open ended, just in case.
Yeah. Just in case it did well enough to warrant a sequel. Which, I mean, because like I said, they never really say. I mean, it looks like he's dead, but how many times as horror fans have we seen? Oh shit! Like, how are they going to make a sequel out of that? Well, they fucking come
dead
up with
is
something.
never dead.
Oh yeah, it's like,
no.
Shit. Like, I guess he's not dead. Like, I don't know how the fuck they did that, but they did it.
If it had been successful in like a bigger way, which I'm sure that's what he was hoping for. But if he had wanted that, maybe he should have left out one particular scene. But like, if it had been more successful, I could see a franchise built around that villain.
Yeah,
I would love to see more of that guy.
Yeah, more Elmer would have been great.
Yeah,
dude, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Elmer having to deal with others of his kind.
Oh God.
and see, maybe that's where they could have left it off. Like when he shot his head, more came out.
That would have been dope. Living the little babies.
Little baby Elmers, yeah.
Some Night of the Creep stuff, man.
Night of the Creep stuff, yeah.
Coming out, yeah. That would have been crazy, man.
That would have been cool.
I can picture different Elmers, like with different neon colors and shit. And like, that would have been sick as fuck, man. Like a green one, like a neon yellow one, some, just different, I don't know, different variations of him. That would have been something, man. That would have been pretty neat.
Because surely he wasn't the only one of his kind.
Yeah, I don't think so, man. There could have been more out there.
Could have been more out there.
We even knew what Elmer was. Which
I told you what he was. He's a sentient turd penis.
We know, but what his origins are, we don't know. And I like that though, man. It keeps you guessing. It's like, oh, you think about it, like, oh, he could have came from here, he could have came from there. Who the fuck knows? But it's interesting.
No one knows.
You know who I would love to see tackle if they were ever to remake this is James Gunn.
Oh yeah, James Gunn would be a perfect choice for this, man.
Because the whole movie had Slither vibes. For me.
Slither.
Completely. Might have been what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like an inspiration.
Could have been.
Yeah.
You know good and well James Gunn has seen this movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
I think he's seen this Night of the Creeps, and he's like, yeah, let me make something happen.
Let me dip my toes into this.
Yeah, let me make my own
slug film.
Yeah.
Well, you guys ready to move to some ratings?
Sure, man.
Oh yeah.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. It's a 5 out of 5 for me. I mean, I know that I've only seen it once, but it's one that I feel like every time I see it, I'm gonna love it more. So, man, this movie it's great. I'm angry with myself that I haven't seen this movie before now.
Dude, I'm so fucking happy to hear that, man.
Exactly.
The end credits rolled, and I was like just furious with myself that I've had all these years that I could have been watching this movie.
Oh man, that's
I already have like a list of people. I'm like, all right, these are the people that I have to watch this movie with.
yeah. I do too.
That's
Man.
the way it is.
Still want to get together with Wes and watch it because I think he'll love the hell out of this movie too.
Oh yeah, Wes would have a ball with this film.
Definitely up his alley. He dig it. But yeah, dude, I'm so happy to hear that, man.
Yeah. That's cool, man. Tony, what you got?
This is my favorite Henenlotter film. This is underrated classic for me. It's a 5 out of 5, like easily. I love this movie, man.
Yeah.
Cinematography's great. Elmer's just the perfect character, man. He's just so cool. Like his voice, Zachary. I mean, just the acting from Brian, even the older couple.
Mhm.
I mean, the sleazy New York atmosphere. I mean, you get it in droves. The club scene. There's so many scenes and sequences in this movie that I absolutely love, and it's perfectly paced too. This movie flies by. Like you do not feel runtime at all. It just goes, man. You're loving every minute of it. This is easily a 5 out of 5 for me. It's personally my favorite Henenlotter film. I've always said it's completely underrated. I wish more people knew about it. So hopefully, even us talking about it, discussing it, maybe it'll get the word out there for more people to check it out, watch it, and maybe more people will be like, "Oh man, wow, this movie is really, really good."
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it'll top some people's list. I don't know, but as long as we get the word out so other people can see it, man, I feel like we're doing what we need to be doing. So,
Oh yeah, well
5
put.
out of 5 for me, easy.
Same for me.
Yeah,
It's a 5 out of 5.
unanimous,
flawless
victory.
This film is just one of those films that you just love having a beer and sitting down with a buddy and watching. Like, well put with Josh, this is a film that, yes, it's good watching on your own, but at the same time with an audience, it just can't top it.
So
hands
good.
down is way better. Everything, as far as Henenlotter, we've covered some films, and I've watched a pretty good amount of his filmography, and hands down, this is the one I always come back to. This is a year watch for me. I pop it in every year, and it's just a fun, wild ride all around. And like, to Tony's credit, just all the cinematography, the scenes, the sound effects, the gore, everything. All the shots are well done. Even he pushes the limits on what he can do in this film, and I love that. I love that he was very ballsy while making this film, and it worked. It worked. I dig the fuck out of this film. This is one of my favorites.
Yep.
So,
and I think it's so good. I think Henenlotter was firing on all cylinders when he made this movie, because I really believe this movie was more personal to him than any other film he'd ever done. I really believe that when he wrote the script for this, going through what he went through, like this was more of like a passion project for him, getting that allegory and that metaphor out for people. And I love films that are metaphorical and have allegory and everything like that anyway. So, when you watch this and you get the subtext and what they're talking about, what they're doing, you just appreciate it more. And the fact that it was more personal and he wrote it from the heart, what he was going through, it had to have been tough going through what he went through at that time. So, like I said, I just think he poured more of his heart and soul in this than anything he's ever done. So that's why I think to me it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, it works on different levels, and that's what good art does. That it's gonna work on more than just one, like, initial surface level. Like it's a really, in its own way, it's a little bit of a powerful film, if you allow it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Allow it to be 100%.
Definitely. Well, with that, you guys ready to land it?
Yep,
let's do it.
All right. Well, before we get into landing the plane and everything, you wanna talk more about your short stories, and because we didn't cover your short stories last time.
And I think Tony has a link. I think Corey, I might have sent you the link too. I can't remember. If I didn't, I will. But medium.com. I've got several short stories on there that I've written throughout the years that are all horror. some gnarly stuff. Tony read one today and liked it, so that's good. So if you want just a good, quick read that scratch the spooky season itch for you, feel free to check those stories out. They're free, so I mean, you got nothing to lose by checking them out. The comic book is the Ashcam for Apollyon 20XX that I'm publishing with Legacy Comics is doing really well. Pre-orders have been good so far. We need to push it a lot harder than where it's at. Like we definitely got to, but it's only been a week, so I mean it's going really well for us to be a weekend. I've got podcast interviews several nights this week to hopefully get that out to a bigger audience. Got some cool stuff coming as well for people who do pre-order. We got some announcements coming up pretty soon that I can't say what, but you'll get more than just the book. I'll leave it at that. So cool stuff happening. So just working my butt off.
Yeah, dude.
Awesome.
Hustling it, man. I got to get the pre-order or the link for the pre-order because I'm definitely going to pre-order.
I'll send it to you.
Well, and folks, if you want to pre-order that stuff, make sure that you head over to our last video. In the description of the video, I actually put the links in all that for the short stories and for the comic books as well. And I'll do that again on this one as well. That way we can try and get your stuff out for you.
I can't tell you enough how much I appreciate it. I'm having a blast. I've had a blast doing these episodes with you, but like you guys didn't have to take your time out to even consider helping me with what I'm doing. So I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Oh, no problem, man. It's all about networking, you know.
That's it, man. You've done plenty for us, man. We more than willing to. Very happy to.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, folks, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe this episode as well. Tell your friends about this film if you haven't already.
Watch this movie with your grandmother.
Yes.
That would be an experience.
Do it.
That would be
especially if your grandma's a junkie.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes. Yes.
She's going to relate to the old people.
She is.
The old couple. Well, but yeah, and like I said before, I'm going to leave the links again in the description for Josh's comic books that are coming up soon. Make sure you pre-order those and try and get his name out because what it looks pretty good. I've seen some artwork and stuff like that, and looks awesome. And then I'm also going to leave the link for his horror short stories. Make sure you give those a read. Tony approves, so that's a plus. I'm going to give them a chance too. I'm going to read them. I can't wait to read them because you guys got me excited now.
They're awesome, man. Check them out.
Will.
The one I read is awesome, and I'm sure they all are awesome. I can't wait to dig into them again. I'm going to dig into them this week.
Sounds good, man. I'd love to get the feedback. It always helps to know what works and what doesn't, and
I'm gonna hit you up on it.
Definitely. Sweet. Well, folks, with that, we'll catch you on the flip side. Later.
Peace.